Alcatraz. You know, the Rock, a name that just conjures up images of inescapable prison, right?
Right.
But did anyone actually ever escape? Today, we're taking a deep dive into one of the most infamous prison breaks ever. June of '62, Alcatraz. And we're going right to the source.
Yeah.
We've got the FBI files, the official documents on the case.
It's pretty amazing to think about. I mean, this prison, it was designed to be the ultimate lockup. They took it from, a regular military prison in the 1800s and totally revamped it in 34.
Oh, yeah, to handle those tough guys, the gangsters.
Exactly. Al Capone, Machine Gun Kelly, they were sending the worst of the worst there.
Surrounded by those freezing waters, guards everywhere. They even checked on the inmates 12 times a day.
You'd think that would stop anyone, right?
But nope. 36 guys still tried to escape in 14 different attempts.
Crazy. Some got caught, some just disappeared.
Vanished into the bay.
But there's one escape that really stands out. It's the one everyone's heard of. Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers, John and Clarence.
Their story is just, I don't know, it's unbelievable. Planning, luck, mystery, it's all there.
Let's talk about these guys for a minute.
Okay, yeah. Frank Morris, he was the brains of the operation.
Criminal mastermind type.
Yeah.
Bank robbery, breaking out of other prisons, the whole 9 yards.
And he ends up in Alcatraz in 1960.
Followed soon after by the Anglin brothers. They all knew each other from before.
That prison bond, right. You got to think that helped them with this crazy plan.
Right. I mean, you got to wonder what it takes to even think about escaping from a place like Alcatraz. The desperation, the tiny sliver of hope they must have clung to.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you think about how even the most perfect system can have cracks,
Yeah. The human will, right? So where do they even start Alcatraz, this island fortress? What's their first step?
They found some old saw blades. It was December of '61.
Saw blades, what are they going to cut their way out?
Well, it's even wilder than that. They somehow built a drill out of a broken vacuum cleaner motor.
Wait, what? A drill? How do you even think of that? That's like, I don't know, straight out of MacGyver or something.
And they used it, night after night, to drill these tiny holes around their air vents. Imagine the patience. Months of this, just chipping away.
Living with that risk, that fear of getting caught.
But they were careful, covered their tracks.
Now, what did they use?
Anything they could get their hands on. Cardboard, paint, even soap to make the vents look normal.
They were hiding right in plain sight.
Yep. So once they had the vent covers off, they had access to this utility corridor.
Okay, but where does that even lead?
To a network of pipes. And they climbed those pipes in the dark, all the way to the roof of the cell block.
To the roof? What, were they just going to jump off?
No. But they set up this secret workshop up there. It was super risky, but it was the only way to work on their plan without anyone seeing.
A secret workshop on the roof of Alcatraz? That just sounds crazy. What were they building up there?
This is where it gets really ingenious. Life preservers from over 50 raincoats.
Raincoats? Seriously?
And a raft, too. 16 by 14 feet.
Where'd they get all this stuff?
A little of this, a little of that. Stolen items, things other inmates gave them. They even figured out how to, vulcanize the raft scenes,
Right.
using the steam pipes in the prison. These guys were resourceful. They even turned a musical instrument into a raft inflator.
Okay, I got to stop you there. A raft from raincoats. An instrument turned into a pump. How on earth did they do all this without anyone noticing?
They were good. Really good. But getting off the roof, that was another challenge. They used the ventilator at the top of the shaft.
And when they loosened?
Yep. Pried it open, created a fake bolt out of soap to hold it for a bit. That was their escape route.
Sounds crazy risky. And everyone went along with it.
Well, there was another guy, Alan West.
He backed out.
Not exactly.
No.
He just couldn't get his vent cover off in time. So when the night came, he was stuck.
Wow. To be that close to freedom and then...
Yeah. But Morris and the Anglins, they went for it. June 11th, 1962. Through the vent, up to the roof, down the bakery smokestack, over the fence, and they made it to the shore.
And then they just vanished into the bay.
Disappeared.
Wait a minute, what about those dummy heads? I've heard about them. Weren't those part of the escape?
Oh, you got to hear about the heads. Picture this. It's the next morning, June 12th. Guards are doing their rounds, head count, and they go to check on Morris and the Anglins. They find 3 heads just lying there in the beds.
What, like real heads?
Not real, but so realistic. Made out of plaster, painted, and they even had real human hair on them.
Okay, that's creepy. They fooled the guards with these fake heads.
During those nighttime checks, yeah. The heads were that good. It just shows you the lengths they went to. Their dedication to this plan was incredible.
They were all in.
And they got a head start because of it. But that's when everything changed. June 12th, the alarm goes off. Alcatraz goes into full lockdown.
Yeah.
The biggest manhunt you can imagine. And that's where the FBI steps in.
This is where the real investigation begins. Trying to solve the impossible? How did 3 guys escape from Alcatraz? Did they even make it?
Well, they found some clues. A few days later, a packet of letters pops up in the bay, sealed in rubber.
Letters.
Yeah, connected to the escapees. And then pieces of wood. Look like broken paddles.
Yeah.
And some rubber, probably from inner tubes.
Okay. So they had a raft, life preservers, maybe paddles. Seems like they thought of everything. But does any of that actually prove they drowned?
That's the question, right? And the FBI was struggling with it. Those currents around Alcatraz are brutal. The water's freezing. But they knew that strong swimmers had made it from Alcatraz to Angel Island before.
So it wasn't impossible, but definitely dangerous.
Exactly. And here's the thing. They never found any evidence of the stolen clothes and car the escapees supposedly needed once they got to land.
Wait, what? Alan West mentioned that.
Yep. It was part of their plan.
Interesting. But wouldn't their families have heard from them? If they made it, I mean.
You'd think so, right?
It's a natural instinct to reach out, let someone know you're alive, even if it's just a coded message, something.
Yeah. But the FBI looked for 17 years and found nothing solid. No credible evidence that they were alive in the U.S. or anywhere else.
So the FBI figured they drowned.
It was the most likely scenario based on what they knew.
But the case didn't end there, did it?
No. 1979, it gets handed over to the U.S. Marshal Service. And they're still looking into it, still haven't ruled out that Morris and the Anglins could be out there somewhere.
Hold on, wait, why? What happened? Why reopen it after all that time?
There have been some interesting things pop up over the years. Some pretty convincing, some a little out there.
Like what?
Well, back in 2015, the Anglin family came forward with something pretty wild. A Christmas card.
Christmas card.
Yeah. They say their mother got it in 1962, just a few months after the escape. Signed, from John.
Okay, that's eerie. What did it say?
To Mom, if you want me to come home, put an ad in the paper. Love, John. And they said their mom actually got 2 cards. One in 62, another in 63.
So, John Anglin, if this is real, he's alive, but he doesn't just come home. Something's not adding up here. If he was that close, why not just go back?
Right. It's almost like a psychological puzzle. If you
Right.
survived, why reach out but not fully return? Guilt, fear, just testing the waters. We don't know.
Did the FBI check out the card?
Oh yeah, back in 62, they analyzed the handwriting. Couldn't say for sure if it was John Anglin's or not.
So the card itself is a mystery. What else came up?
Sightings.
Of the Anglins.
Yeah, lots of them. Mostly in South America.
South America, how'd they get all the way down there?
Some think they had help.
Yeah.
Maybe an old prison buddy with connections or someone who owed them a favor.
It makes you wonder, right? What kind of network did they have? They couldn't have pulled off this escape without some serious outside assistance.
Especially back then, early 60s, things are different. You gotta think about organized crime too.
You mean like the mob?
Hey, Alcatraz housed some big-time mobsters. If anyone could make people disappear, it was them. The resources, the motives, it all fits.
But has anyone ever actually proven that?
Nope. All speculation so far.
But it's definitely interesting, adds another layer to the story. So we got this mysterious Christmas card, rumors of the Anglins in South America. What else is keeping this investigation alive? Pictures.
Pictures?
2016, a nephew of the Anglin brothers comes forward, claims he has pictures of them living in Brazil in the 70s.
Okay, now we're talking. What do the pictures show?
2 guys who look a lot like the Anglins, standing with another guy who supposedly escaped from a different prison.
Sounds convincing. Did they check it out?
Oh, they brought in the experts, forensics, the whole deal. But it was inconclusive. They couldn't say for sure if it was them or not.
Man, it's like every time we get close, the answer slips away. Any other ideas about what happened?
Some people think they might have actually drowned, despite everything. Never found their bodies. And those waters.
They could have been swept out, never surfaced.
Tragic, but possible? Even if they made it to shore, imagine the exhaustion, the cold.
Hypothermia, exposure, so many things could have gone wrong. And then there's the big what if.
Which is?
What if they did survive, but they chose to disappear completely? New lives, new names, no contact with their families.
Wow, that takes serious willpower to walk away from everything you know.
For sure. But if they were really determined, maybe they had help getting new identities, finding a safe place. It's possible.
It all circles back to that why, though, doesn't it? Why vanish? Why not even a little contact?
The toughest question to answer. Maybe fear? Maybe they thought it was the only way to truly be free.
Or maybe they did find peace, anonymity, their secret safe forever.
It's a powerful thought, right? To just become ghosts. That's part of what keeps people so fascinated with this case.
So we've got decades of investigations, tons of theories, some really interesting clues, but still no real answer to what happened to Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers.
And that's what makes it so captivating. It just doesn't fit neatly into a box. We like to think we know things, that we can figure everything out. But this case,
It reminds us that there are still mysteries out there, stories without a clear ending.
it's almost comforting in a way, isn't it? The world's still full of surprises, secrets waiting to be discovered. Who knows? Maybe someday a new piece of evidence will pop up and change everything we think we know about the Alcatraz escape.
For now, though, the legend lives on.
And in a way, that's the best ending of all.
I mean, those dummy heads, it's crazy. Real human hair. They really committed to this plan.
Yeah, talk about attention to detail, right? Limited resources, constant surveillance, and they pulled that off. It's remarkable.
So they find the dummies, they know what's happened. What happens next?
Chaos. Alcatraz locked down tight. Everyone's searching. The island, the water, the mainland. They wanted those guys back.
And the FBI gets called in.
You bet. Top priority. And they were just as stumped as everyone else. How did 3 guys vanish from the most secure prison in the country?
Well, they did find some clues, right?
Yeah, bits and pieces. Like a couple days later, this packet of letters turns up in the bay, sealed in rubber,
Letters from who?
related to the escapees somehow. Then they find pieces of wood, look like broken paddles, and some rubber, maybe from inner tubes.
So we got the raft, life vests, paddles. Sounds like they had a plan. But did any of this actually prove they drowned?
Tough question. The FBI had to consider everything. The currents around Alcatraz are notorious, the water's freezing. But they also knew that people had swam from Alcatraz to Angel Island before. Young, strong swimmers.
So it's not impossible. But I'm guessing the odds weren't great.
Not at all. And here's another thing. They never found any evidence of those stolen clothes and the car they supposedly needed once they reached the mainland.
Didn't Alan West say that was part of the plan?
He did.
Interesting. Okay, but what about their families? Wouldn't they have contacted them, if they survived?
Logically, yeah.
I mean, after all that risk, wouldn't you want to at least send a message, even a coded one, just to say, hey, I made it?
It's a powerful instinct to connect. But the FBI spent 17 years on this and they found nothing. No real proof that any of them were alive.
So the FBI officially concluded that they drowned?
It seems like the most likely explanation, given the evidence they had.
Case closed.
Not quite.
What do you mean?
1979 rolls around. The case gets transferred to the U.S. Marshal Service.
Okay.
And they're still looking into it. They haven't given up on the idea that Morris and the Anglins might still be out there.
Wait, why? Why reopen the case after all those years?
Some pretty wild things have come up over the years, things that make you wonder.
Like what? I gotta know.
Okay, picture this. 2015. The Anglin family drops a bombshell. They say they have a Christmas card.
A Christmas card.
From John Anglin, sent to their mother in 1962, just a few months after the escape.
No way! Really? What did it say?
To Mom, if you want me to come home, put an ad in the paper. Love, John. And apparently she got 2 cards, one in 62 and another in 63.
So if this is legit, John Anglin is alive. But he doesn't just come home. Why not? What's stopping him?
That's the weird part, right? It makes you think, what was going through his mind? Why reach out but not actually return? Was it guilt? Fear? Just testing the waters? We can only guess.
Did the FBI look at the card?
Oh yeah, back in 62 they analyzed the handwriting. But they couldn't say for sure if it was really John Anglin's.
So the card itself is a mystery. Okay, what else have they found?
Sightings. Lots of reported sightings over the years, mostly in South America.
South America? How'd they get all the way down there?
Some people think they had outside help. Someone with connections, maybe an old prison contact or someone they did a favor for.
It makes you think, right? You don't pull off an escape like that without serious help from the outside.
And back then, early 60s, things were a lot different. Don't forget about organized crime.
You mean like the mob?
Think about it.
Yeah.
Alcatraz was full of mobsters. If anyone had the resources and the motivation to make these guys disappear, it was them.
But has anyone actually proven that?
Not yet. It's all just speculation for now. But it's a possibility that makes this story even more intriguing.
So we've got a mysterious Christmas card and rumors of South American sightings. What else is fueling this whole investigation?
Pictures.
Pictures of the Anglin brothers.
Yeah, in 2016, one of their nephews comes forward with these photos, he says, are of John and Clarence living in Brazil in the 70s.
What? wanted pictures. That's huge. What do they show?
Two guys who really look like the Anglin brothers hanging out with this other guy who apparently escaped from a different prison.
Sounds pretty convincing. What did the authorities say?
They got forensic experts involved, analyzed the photos, the whole 9 yards. But the results were inconclusive. They couldn't say for sure if it was really them.
It's like every time we think we're getting close, the answer just slips away. Are there any other theories about what might have happened?
Well, some people believe they might have drowned after all, despite the evidence.
Even with all the planning.
Bodies were never found. And those waters around Alcatraz are brutal.
Could have been swept out to sea, never surfaced. It's a sad thought, but...
Realistic. And even if they made it to shore, they would have been exhausted, exposed to the elements, hypothermia, injuries. It's not hard to imagine things going wrong.
So they could have died trying to reach land or soon after. Man, what a story.
And then there's the most mind-blowing possibility of all.
Which is?
What if they survived, but completely cut off contact with their families and created brand new lives, new identities, the whole thing?
That takes a whole other level of commitment. To walk away from everything and everyone you know?
Definitely. But if they were really determined, if they had help getting new identities and finding a safe place, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
But why? Why go through all that and then disappear?
That's the question, isn't it? Were they just that afraid of being caught? Did they think it was the only way to truly start over?
Or maybe they found a way to live out their days in peace, anonymously, their secret safe forever.
Now that's a thought. To just become ghosts is part of what keeps people so fascinated by this case, you know?
After all this time, all these investigations, all the theories and clues, we still don't have a definitive answer to what happened to Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers.
That's what makes it so captivating, right?
Yeah.
It's a story that resists easy answers. We like to think we can figure everything out, but this case, it challenges that.
It just blows my mind that after all these years, we still don't know what happened to them. It's like this puzzle, and we're missing a few key pieces.
And that's what makes it so fascinating. I think it taps into this human need to know, you know, to have a resolution.
Right. We like things tied up neatly. But sometimes, not knowing, that's what makes a story really stick with you.
It's true. I mean, what if we knew exactly what happened to them? Would it have the same power? Would we still be talking about it all these years later?
Probably not. The mystery, that's the hook. It lets us come up with our own theories, imagine different endings.
And it makes you think, like, how much do we really know? We have all this information at our fingertips these days, but there's still some things that just we can't figure out.
It's kind of nice, actually. Reminds us that the world's still full of wonder and secrets.
Totally. The Alcatraz escape, it's a real testament to that human spirit, that desire for freedom no matter what.
They were willing to risk everything for a chance at a different life.
And their story, it still speaks to us, you know? It makes you think about taking risks, breaking free from the everyday.
It's like this classic tale. I mean, books, movies, documentaries, even songs.
It's become part of our culture, a story we pass down.
And in a way, it belongs to all of us. We each get to decide what we believe, weigh the evidence, come up with our own ending.
That's the cool thing about a mystery like this. It's interactive. We all get to be part of the investigation, even if it's just in our own heads.
So after decades, after all the theories and the clues, we still come back to that one question. What happened to Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers?
Did they make it? Did they drown? Did they somehow create new lives for themselves?
We may never know for sure, but maybe that's okay. It's the mystery that makes this story so powerful.
And who knows, maybe someday something new will turn up, some clue that changes everything.
Until then, the legend of the Alcatraz escape lives on. And that's what we've been digging into today. It's a story that really makes you think, doesn't it? About hope, about freedom, about the limits of what we know.
Yeah, it really does. And on that note, that's our deep dive for today. Don't forget to check out the show notes. We've got links to the FBI files and a bunch of other stuff so you can explore this case even further.
And if you've got your own theories about what happened, we want to hear them. Hit us up on social media. Let's keep this conversation going.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep that sense of wonder alive.
See you next time.